Let's bring in Drew Brees, our good buddy. What kind of interaction did you ever have with Belichick? You ever have any lengthy conversation with Belichick?
Not really. Not really. We actually, Sean Payton and him were pretty tight. We actually scrimmaged against those guys quite a few times during training camp. Now that seems to be the norm, especially with, preseason being limited. You try to get those extra reps by doing those scrimmages and joint practices. I feel like we were doing that with them before Belichick ever really was doing that with anybody. I think there was a period of time where he had all these trade secrets that he didn't want to, let out. But I think him and Sean Payton developed a relationship where I think we went up there 3 years in a row. Maybe it was 11, 12, 13. And then we did it when we were at the Greenbrier in West Virginia at training camp. So we did quite a few of those, but never was there really like a personable interaction. I always felt like he was all business, and to be perfectly honest, I was all business during practices as well. So it was all good.
All right, describe what you have here in your trophy room for those who are listening on radio. Just describe.
This is in the trophy room. This is just the office.
Wait a minute. So you have a trophy room. This isn't the trophy room.
No, this isn't the trophy room. No, I'm just kidding. This is I got a bunch of cabinets. I need stuff to put on it. So I guess we put helmets, and we got our bats right here, from that was kind of a theme that we had in New Orleans. Bring the wood. Whenever we had a real physical game, we wanted to beat up on somebody. There's some trophies, but man, it's mainly pictures of the fam, of the kids. Just stuff that, I can look at and gives me a little bit of inspiration on a daily basis. So there's all kinds of stuff in here, man. I've got my Bill Russell basketball over here. I've got Larry Bird. I've got, a Ted Williams bat that his family gave me because they knew I was a big Ted Williams fan. And so, I got some cool stuff in here.
And the trophy behind you, is that the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's replica Super Bowl. I can't believe we're sitting here talking about the trophies that are in the back here. Walter Payton Man of the Year. Yeah, there's some good stuff there.
Wait, why wouldn't we talk about that? That's pretty cool stuff that you have. Maybe give us a tour.
We're here.
Do a TikTok tour.
Okay, here's one.
Okay,
we'll talk about one of the coolest ones.
Okay.
So up there is the John Wooden Citizen Cup. So first off, let's talk about John Wooden. Everybody knows John Wooden, legendary coach, right? UCLA. But did you know that he went to Purdue University?
Yeah.
He went to Purdue University.
Yeah, he played basketball.
He was like the 1932 Player of the Year.
Yeah.
In college basketball at Purdue University. So that's a great sense of pride for me that John Wooden was a Purdue guy.
Did you ever?
I didn't realize that when I made the decision to go to Purdue, but soon after that became very apparent. So he's way up there on my list of just legendary people of all time.
What do you expect? Let me get to this first, then I'll ask you about tonight. What did you see with Tua on that play when he got knocked down, got back up, and stumbled?
You know what? Honestly, I haven't seen a replay of that. I've just read a lot about it. So I can't really comment.
How often would you hide an injury?
All the time. I mean, look, it's I recognize the kind of the delicate place we're in right now, especially when it pertains to head and neck injuries. Like when you think about like the game of football, I mean, even from its inception is like this warrior sport, and I say this goes for any sport, but any physical sport, especially, which is, man, it's like, don't show pain, don't show fear, don't show like anything other than the focusing on the objective to go win, to go dominate, whatever that is. And so, like, look, guys, the rate of injury in the NFL is 100%, right? We always tell ourselves that, right? I get asked all the question, weren't you afraid of getting hurt? No, because you just expect to get hurt at some point and you expect that you're going to have to play through it. Like, that's just the nature of the beast. Now, when it comes to head and neck injuries, I think we've recognized that is totally different. And whereas in the past that was ignored, it is something that is even more important and should be treated the exact same way as, like, if you pull a hamstring and you're going to be out for 3 weeks, if you have trauma to your brain, you're probably going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. I'll give you a perfect example. Luke Kuechly, right? One of the greatest players I've ever played against, one of the greatest linebackers ever played the game, played against him twice a year in Carolina. I think the guy that I saw had 3 concussions, and on each occasion he was out for like 3 to 4 weeks, which I thought was extremely smart for not only, I mean, for his case, for his longevity, for his health and wellness, but just this idea that, like, the fact that you can turn around from a concussion in a week is really kind of crazy to me, considering that, like, any other injury that you would say needs full time to heal. I feel like that's an area where we still have a ways to go, just in regards to fully understanding it and the amount of time it takes to return to play or when you're fully healed.
But how do you hide a concussion?
Look, you get knocked woozy all the time. I mean, it's I think as a player, and I guess it depends on how, if you've experienced that before, right? If you've never experienced one before, you don't really know what it is. You're just gonna try to operate past it, right? But if you have experienced it before, and maybe you're able to kind of self-recognize the symptoms, I still don't know if you're just competitive, drive, or just this feeling of, like, not wanting to let your teammates down. Like, there's just all these feelings that go through your mind of, I can't come out of this game. I have to stay in this fight.
We're talking to Drew Brees. He's joining us on behalf of Lowe's home team. You want to give us an update on what you're doing with Lowe's?
Absolutely. So I'm GM of the Lowe's home team, have been for the last 2 years. Lowe's made a commitment last year of $100 million over 5 years to fund various projects in NFL cities. Have some great players that have lent their support as well. Justin Herbert, Travis Kelce, Micah Parsons, among others, current NFL players, but guys that are out there really serving their community. So actually last week I was in New Orleans working with an organization called lower9.org, helping to build a facility that was going to be kind of a multi-work housing facility there along with Lowe's. So a lot of great projects, a lot of great work being done. Happy to support it. Love when I see companies that are willing to make that type of commitment to our communities.
Good for you. Good for you. I know you've always put in the time and the effort with these sponsors, certainly locally there in New Orleans. More questions about the Bengals or the Dolphins going into tonight's game?
Bengals. This was actually one I had circled, from the start of the season. And I kind of made the prediction exactly the way it's played out, which is Bengals would struggle a little bit because, look, you're riding high off of last year's, finish. And obviously kind of exceeding all expectations, doing what nobody really thought could happen. And then, you spend an off season by everybody telling you how great you are. Right. And then, the season starts and you stumble a little bit, which they had. Look, obviously Joe Burrow missed a lot of the preseason with the appendicitis and that kind of stuff. So, there were some other factors there that couldn't have been foreseen. And then on the flip side, you've got Miami and Tua, where everybody's, spending the off season saying you need a new quarterback. Right. And I know that feeling. I've been in that position before, man, and it drives you. It drives your preparation, drives everything that you do. And you continue to build that team. They bring in a new coach. They, bring in some pieces, and now that team looks pretty darn good. And Tua's played really, really well. But I think that this is a challenge that Cincinnati will be up for. Like, they've been waiting. Since he's had the bullseye on their chest for the first 3 weeks, right? And now they get to put the bullseye on this team because this is the team that's undefeated, right, coming in this week. So I think Cincy wins this game.
If Sean Payton came back to coach and needed a quarterback coach or offensive coordinator and called you?
Look, I love the game, and I'm going to be involved in the game somehow. Last year I went the media route. That was really enjoyable. I felt like I learned a lot. I felt like I developed a great skill set that will help me down the road, whether I choose to do that again or do something else. So I appreciated that experience. The reason I didn't do that this year was simply because it was taking away all my weekends, and my kids are at an age now where I want to be with them. I want to coach them. I want to see their games and that kind of thing. Look, it's the same thing for coaching, right? I mean, coaching, I don't think people realize the life of an NFL coach during the season, and then what their families go through at the same time. I mean, that's like 7 months straight of, you might as well be in the military on deployment, like they are, like spending the night at the facility. I mean, just grinding, and it's all football. So that lifestyle is probably not what I'm looking for. Now I love the game. And so finding a way to continue to stay connected with it. There's a lot of ways to do it. And so I'll assess those opportunities as they come.
Well, it's like Brady's going to go from playing to then going out to this site to do a game. And it's not like you can fly in on Sunday morning and do a game. You got to commit 3 or 4 days, it feels like, to doing a broadcast.
If you're going to do it right, you're going to spend the same amount of preparation in preparing to broadcast the game, to do a 3-hour production as you would to play the game. Now, look, you can structure that schedule a little differently. You can do it, during the week when the kids are at school. I mean, you're home in the evenings when maybe otherwise you wouldn't. I mean, so yes, it's not as intense as if you're a player. But at the same time, if you want to be great at anything, you got to work at it. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what Tom is signed up to do. I know what's been announced, but it is definitely a commitment, and it takes more time than you think. And I think I definitely have a respect for the guys that are in those positions, and the guys that really do it the right way. The preparation that goes into that.
Great to catch up with you again. Hope the family's well. Good luck with Lowe's home team there.
Thanks, DP. See you, man.
That's Drew Brees, Super Bowl MVP, played 20 seasons, led the NFL in passing yards 7 times, led the NFL in passing touchdowns 4 times.